Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Starladder Season 8, Day 5 coverage. We've got a good one coming up for you here. This is Game 3 of 4 today. It's been sort of an awkward day of Starladder coverage here on Beyond the Summit, mostly because of connection issues that are unrelated to us. But alas, we do have our third match of the day. Sigma going to be facing off against, are we going to have a remake here? Already slated with connection issues. We see people disconnecting here. But going to be a good one coming up here. We do have, indeed, Sigma facing off against the mighty Poseidon. Sorry, losing my train of thought already. I am joined by Hippie. Hippie, my friend, how are you feeling? Although, don't get too comfortable, because I have a feeling we got a remake on our hands here, buddy.
All right, I'll make sure to feel very uncomfortable until we know whether or not this remake is happening. But aside from that, I'm feeling good. Always happy to do some Starladder. Love to see the Russian Dota. It is a nice break from some standard play. Balls out aggression.
Yeah, always exciting. Always exciting indeed. It looks like I think we are going to have a remake, so let's see if we can hop back in. Oh, an array of issues today, my friend. It's been non-stop remakes and server crashes and swapping casters and all sorts of shenanigans, but this should be a good one. This is a fun one. I am pumped up to see Poseidon, my friend. They have this new roster. Dread was retired. He's come out of retirement. I'm not that up to date with what Dread's been doing, as I don't speak his primary language, but I was under the assumption that Dread was no longer a competitive player, so this is sort of exciting to see his premiere here with the new Poseidon roster.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he was doing casting with Starladder for a while. I think it was SLTV that he was associated with. But Dread, Solo, and Nexus are all, I believe, the new additions to Poseidon. So you have a 3 out of 5 roster switch. So while they have a lot of star power on their team, all of these players are really, really great, and they're absolutely worth watching. They have the talent, but it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how their coordination stacks up against Sigma, which is a team that's been playing together since last season of Starladder. They did pretty well at MLG. They've got some good wins under their belt. So I think I favor Sigma a little bit more here, but I'm ready to be surprised by Poseidon.
Yeah, I mean, Poseidon has one of these rosters now that we've seen in the past, where time and time again, having just the all-star lineup is not always a good thing. Sometimes having a stronger team cohesion with individually less skilled players proves to be a little bit more effective than just having that, quote, too many chefs in the kitchen, as we've seen. So this is going to be interesting. I believe this actually is their premier match with this new roster. Certainly the first one that I've seen. So we're in for a little bit of history in the making here, my friend.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a blast to cast. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we are sitting in the lobby once again here, guys. Hopefully we're just about ready to rock and roll. I'm going to try to resist the urge to cut back to music, even though I do enjoy playing the DJ here. And just check what everyone is saying. I don't know if that was a remake because we had everyone drop from the server, or if it was just a case of the bad ping, and they wanted to rehost before the draft got too far underway. So time will tell here what the plan is. I also can't understand what they're saying in lobby chat, as I am not fluent in Russian, which is really certain to be the bane in our Starladder action, Hippie. Even in Starladder VII, it's a little bit rough not being able to understand what all the admins and mods have to say. It's a little rough.
Yeah, it can be an issue. I think the important thing to note right here is if you look down at the penalty section, they're actually penalizing Dire, which they were not previously. They're losing 70 seconds off their bonus time. Previously, it was just the 30 seconds for Sigma for Soxka getting caught in traffic. So obviously, because we can't speak Russian, I have no idea why that penalty is being applied, but it appears to be there, and it appears like, or maybe they're taking it away. I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, that's it's an issue. So it looks like, all right, we are going to go. Awesome. And hopefully we can get into the draft. I've gotten in the habit of starting the draft a little bit late because those initial bans are a little bit cookie cutter these days, not a whole hell of a lot to say. We're starting to get very non-6.79 where everything's up in the air going crazy. We're settling down to kind of 6.78 territory where we know who the strong heroes are. Those first bans and picks a little bit predictable, but we are going to be here nonetheless, and it's looking good for now. So well, don't have to really redo that introduction. Already rolled all the intro videos. So Hippie, what have you been doing, man? It's been a while since we talked. I know you were casting MLG Columbus. Anything you want to talk about before we talk about the draft? You've got like 30 seconds here, my friend.
Nothing in particular. Just once again, I mean, my second time on this channel. Very excited to be back here. Happy to be working with you again, my friend, since Dota Radio has mostly been the morning show in the recent weeks.
Yeah, morningshow.com/Dota Radio is what we should change it to, because Dota Radio has been offline for quite some while. I've soiled our brand now that I've joined BTS. Not that BTS is bad, but there's just no coverage on Dota Radio if the team isn't there to run the radio. So exactly right. The old Dota Radio crew is back together, ready for action. So my horse is amazing indeed is Team Poseidon here, guys. KSI, Dread, Solo Nexus, and Tame My Wild is their new roster. It was all over the subreddit. If you haven't heard about it yet, well, yeah, I wouldn't say you're living under a rock. It wasn't huge news. The tweet was in Russian, so interesting. Can't wait to see how they fare. And again, as we mentioned, Sigma, one of the teams that did very well at MLG Columbus. They've been known for these kind of interesting drafts, so should be interesting. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these heroes, though. My horse is amazing, aka Poseidon, going to ban out Timbersaw as well as the Lich. Sigma going to take out the mighty Elder Titan, and the scary Furion going to open up for that first pick. Venomancer, Mirana, and Bane going to be snagged by Sigma International.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I feel a lot of teams should be using their first couple of picks, unless you want to do a very kind of hidden style of pick. What Sigma did, so you have Poseidon taking one very strong hero that can go anywhere, and then you have Sigma picking a very strong combo. But it still doesn't. It's a combo that could really go anywhere. That could be a support Mirana, it could be a dual mid, it could be an aggressive lane. So no one's giving anything away. They're being very, very measured, but they are still making strong picks. And just in reference to the bans, I feel like the Timbersaw and the Nature's Prophet, they're both strong, but they're more targeted against the opposing team, whereas the Lich and the Titan are just, oh god, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Yep.
And Clockwork, I did notice on Dat Dota very quickly, he is now the most combined picked and banned hero. He trumps everyone, including Elder Titan.
Wow, I believe it. Clockwork has he's picked up some serious momentum, especially since MLG Columbus. I mean, he's been good since 6.79, since the beginning, but yeah, he's been out of control. Venomancer as well, both of them kind of the breakout heroes that everyone's been sought after, seeing both of them first, second picked in most of the games that we've been able to cast. Mirana Bane, one of those classic combos, but Mirana has been, I don't want to say falling off, but she's been hit or miss. Some teams really love running the Mirana, other teams not so much. So we haven't seen a whole lot of her in the past few days of Starladder Season 8, but not surprised to see Sigma trying to work her in here. And OD actually going to be banned out third by Poseidon. Very warranted. OD, another one of those heroes that, well, was really powerful, then everyone thought was terrible, and now we're realizing, hey, he's actually not that bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, the nerf to his item build hurt him, but if you can still get him farmed, he's still just as strong as he ever was. His lane just isn't quite as easy now because the item changes. And Mirana, I think you're right. Some teams like her, some teams don't. It's down to a playstyle thing. Do you want that kind of aggressive, maybe carry hero, or do you not want to go with her? Do you not want to be relying on those arrows to set things up? It's just playstyle. She is strong, but she's certainly not for everyone.
Yeah. And the great thing about the Bane pick here early on in the draft may deter, maybe deter isn't the right word, but make that Lifestealer pick, who is still on the board, a little bit less ideal here for our dire side, of course, Team Poseidon. We'll see. Both sides could really use a Lifestealer at this point, but, well, I guess that goes for both sides. Venomancer works quite well against Nyx, as we saw in that last game. That was just a devastating display, yeah, in Clockwork, so maybe not a great Lifestealer game. Bounty Hunter going to be banned out fourth here by Poseidon, and Luna, an interesting third ban from Sigma. Again, another hero that we haven't seen a whole lot of in certain situations where teams tend to feel safe, where they can get a lot of farm up on her. She's a kind of a prevalent pick, but very niche pick. Klink's in a similar boat. He's going to be banned out here as well by Sigma.
Yeah, and I think those are two heroes who, again, they're more picked up by certain teams as opposed to in certain lineups. Certain teams are just really comfortable with having something like a Klinks or a Luna, and some don't like the fragility that Luna brings to the table. They don't like the somewhat weaker early game, although I've seen her in some very, very successful aggressive tri lanes, so she's not like useless in the early game. That aura can be amazing if you just have basically a 3-range tri lane auto-attacking with that aura. It's insane. But then again, she's definitely got kind of that niche thing going in. She's not perfect in every lane, and she's pretty easy to gank up.
Yeah,
Puck
absolutely.
pick, though.
Yeah.
Fada Puck.
Fought a Puck. Scary. Always scary. Puck is just a great all-around hero. Another one of these heroes that doesn't need a hell of a lot of introduction because he's just so well-rounded. Serves as that delivery mechanism if they do opt for a Lifestealer pick here. Again, might not be the best choice, but if they want to... It really depends what they want to do with that Mirana. If they want to put this as an off-lane Mirana, or just that classic duo lane, Mirana, Bane, Puck mid, and then a 2-1-2, pair something with the Lifestealer could certainly work. They're going to grab an Abaddon here. That makes me wonder possibly a Weaver, 5th pick for Sigma, one of those classic duo lanes as well. It's looking like they may want to do a 2-1-2 here. Of course, pending that 5th pick.
Yeah, I think a 2-1-2 is a distinct possibility. They could do an aggressive tri-lane. I mean, a lot of teams don't love using a bad and aggressive tri-lane. It's very understandable. But you can't forget that the shield gives you a little bit of dive potential, so it can work if you're really comfortable with it. But it's certainly not standard. I do definitely think that 2-1-2 is probably where they're going to be going with this. Because, you know, you don't want to give that Doom too much farm if he ends up being an offlane Doom. I mean, it could still be a mid Clockwork, could be a jungle Doom and an offline Clockwork, could even be that one position Doom. You know, we've seen him in so many different places, but I think Lifestealer is just not in the cards. I think that the addition of Doom to that's 3 heroes, all of whom are really, really excellent against Lifestealer. I don't think we're going to see him this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And even Weaver, I mean, Doom is one of those classic picks that you can run against a Weaver that helps shut him down a little bit. Although Weaver does fare very nicely against Venomancer in that lane matchup. Shikuchi kind of trumps all in terms of the movement speed, so still a viable option for Sigma if that's the route they want to go. We'll see what Poseidon want to grab with this 4th pick, though. Going to bust into most of their bonus time here, and they didn't have much. Both teams are actually penalized a little bit, and they're going to grab the Visage. How can we forget about the Visage making it this far into the draft? It's one good thing for Poseidon here. Visage and Venomancer, two of the most powerful supports in the pool right now. Crystal Maiden, though, getting totally ignored in this draft, which is a bit acharacteristic.
Yeah, and it looks like just neither team is really that interested in her. I mean, you have... The Visage gives you more overall damage output because the birds and the Soul Assumption are so much better in the late game, especially once he has the mana to support the Soul Assumption. And what I really like that's coming out from Poseidon is so you have really great initiation with the Clockwork, right? And then, so he can get in, he can hook someone, cog maybe 1 or 2 heroes, really disrupt the fight. Then you land the Visage and the Venomancer slows. Their team is disrupted. They can't move around effectively. They have tons of damage coming out from the Clockwork. They have magic damage hitting them from the Veno. They have the physical damage from the birds, from the Visage, the Doom if he goes a carry build. It's going to be very, very hard for Sigma to get a lot done if they get initiated on in any of these fights. I think they're going to have to focus very, very hard on warding up, watching for that Clockwork, and making sure he doesn't get those free initiations, because I think if he gets a good set of cogs, that's almost the fight won right there, unless we see a really weird pick from Sigma right here.
Yeah, that Razor final ban is making me scratch my head a little bit here. Weaver is going to be that final pick for Sigma, so it does indeed look like they're gearing up for that 2-1-2, a nice pick against the Veno, as we mentioned. Shadow Fiend final ban makes a lot of sense, but I really didn't see Sigma picking Razor right there, so that makes me wonder what Poseidon may do with this last pick. Could be a Storm Spirit. Could be something a little bit different from the mid lane. I suppose time will tell here.
I mean, if they pick Storm and they ban out the Razors because they want Storm to be the true Lord of Lightning. They don't want him to have to contest that title. And there's 3 Lightning people in this game who are like the gods of Lightning. You only want to have one of them in a game, or else things just start to heat up. There's egos get involved. Things get really dicey. It's very unfortunate. I've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen. All right, so 18 seconds left here. I'm really curious with what Poseidon want to do with their final pick. I think Shadow Fiend, a great ban from Sigma, would have worked very well with this Poseidon roster. A nice bit of mid-game carry action, could have paired nicely with that Doom, and certainly could have given the puck a run for his money. And interesting, going to go with the Wind Ranger. So Poseidon going for a very non-carry heavy lineup here. But a great mid-game stride they're going to be able to hit. I think it's safe to say we will see a one-position Doom here in this match.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anyone else who's going to be thrown out right there. So that, I guess, means we're probably going to get a Clockwork mid. So I did mention that was a possibility. I was leaning towards him being an offlaner, but looks like Tame My Wild will, in fact, handle that hero.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how this works out. It's a very aggressive lineup from Poseidon.
Yeah, exactly.
They already are looking to invade the enemy jungle, it looks like.
Yep, going to be one of these classics. Our dire side going to have that mid-game advantage, and they can certainly take that momentum into a victory, but Sigma, I think, safe to say, going to have the clear carry advantage. All things equal, maybe a few Midas come out. Marana, Weaver, definitely going to have a bit more carry potential. Both sides, though, with the 5-man train headed to the bottom lane, this could be some pretty intense level 1 action here, Hippie. And I don't know, which style we're going to move into a pause. Uh-oh, Tame My Wild with 0 FPS. Hopefully this is isolated and we don't have another big drop of all the players. But thoughts about 1v1 team fighting here? Either side you want to give an edge to?
I think I'd have to go towards the Dire, Poseidon. The Doom with Scorched Earth is very, very hard to bring down. It can chase people very nicely, so if they get into an engagement and he feels he needs to skill that, I mean, sure, it'll slow down his farming a little bit until he gets Devour at level 2, if that's what he decides to take, but it would be worth it to win a fight. You have the Venomancer Gale, which is the best level 1 slow in the game. Because you have that amazing slow, Visage can probably feel comfortable skilling Soul Assumption if a fight breaks out, because the Venomancer slow will be on 2 or 3 people, especially if he waits until he sees whether or not the Gale lands before he actually takes his skill. then he'll be able to determine whether or not he needs the extra damage. You have the Windrunner power shot, which is great damage. You have Clockwork to be very disruptive. And, well, Sigma certainly has some good stuff. I mean, the Weaver can be very, very evasive. If you land maybe a good Marana arrow, you can really turn things around. I think the Abaddon, really, though, is going to be the X factor. Because if he can kind of stay back, maybe if people don't die very quickly, depending on what he skills, you'd expect him to skill a Photic Shield, especially if people get slowed down.
Right.
To try and get rid of that. But I think Poseidon is stronger with the caveat that really, really good Abaddon positioning could probably swing that.
All right, trivia time, Hippie. If you get connected on by a Venomous Gale and then you get a Photic Shield, does the Photic Shield cleanse said Gale?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it just doesn't remove Poison Nova.
Well done. Doesn't remove Poison Nova, it does remove Gale. The only reason that's a little bit of a trick question is because we know Rage doesn't remove the Venomous Gale, and that's kind of a BKB-like, but it's not technically a cleanse, it's a magic immunity, so there is a fundamental difference.
Yeah. Well, there's weird tiers of debuffs in the Dota 1 engine. There's magic debuffs that are removed by the by magic immunity, then there's like purgeable debuffs, then there's like unpurgeable 1 and unpurgeable 2 or something like that. I don't quite remember exactly how it works, but unpurgeable 1 will get removed by a Photic Shield, and then the tier above it, unpurgeable 2, has stuff like Doom, has stuff like Poison Nova that is just completely unremovable, period.
Yeah, that sort of, I mean, back from the Han days, that's what they used to call superior magic. That was how Han changed it, to sort of be the trump card over BKBs and magic immunities.
Yeah.
Even though it's not labeled as such in Dota, there are many abilities that are, in my mind, what I would call superior magic that take out magic immunity. So, looks like there is a connection issue here on someone who's playing the Clockwork there.
Tame My Wild.
Yeah, Tame My Wild going to be having a little bit of an issue. Oh yeah, I clicked on him and the pause thing completely covered up his hero. I was like, where is he? Who is he? Who is this guy?
He's tiny.
Yeah, he is tiny. That little Clockwork. He's a little baby there. So unfortunately here, folks, stuck in yet another pause. It's just not been a good day from the Dota gods. The connection and oh man, it's been bad. So see some question marks coming out. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like, I don't know what server clusters they're working with right here. I mean, it's probably not the server cluster. It's probably Tame My Wild's end, but I know earlier the server clusters you guys had to try and get the Navi. Was it Navi Flipside?
Yeah, it was Luxembourg, and then they switched to Stockholm, and
none of them worked.
Stockholm seemed to be better, but a lot of folks seemed to be indicating that it was a DDoS issue with Navi, which
that's unfortunate.
I'm hard pressed to believe. It may be true. It could have been a combination of both, because if Navi are getting DDoS, they're the ones lagging. Other people on the other team shouldn't be dropping from the game. Casters wouldn't be dropping from the game if Navi is getting DDoSed, I don't think. So maybe it was a combination of both. There definitely were some server issues about. We saw it in the other games where everyone gets disconnected. So definitely some server trickery afoot, but we'll do our best. I need to get like just a backlog of Dota trivia so that when we have downtime like this, we can just start pounding out like really weird Dota trivia that people aren't privy to. It's a good idea.
You can prove to me how little I do actually know, how I tout myself. Man, I know a lot of mechanics, and then you come up with like stuff even more obscure than anything I've tried to get. Just
Dota
like,
mechanics are insane. Like at MLG, I was talking
to of exceptions.
That guy Flame Wheel. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. It's a weird handle, but I think he's a writer for TL. And this guy, man, he was just like really into Dota mechanics. And I'm not gonna lie, my friend, he might have given you a run for your money.
I think he probably would.
He was pretty impressive, and I mean, he was talking about stuff like, well, you know, one of the things that's really fascinating about, well, there was one thing in particular that he was going on and on about that was actually really interesting about the way you have to, because of the Warcraft 3 engine, you have to like make dummy units on top of stuff. I wish I could remember who he was talking about now. But there are a couple abilities in particular that are just like unbelievably difficult to tweak. But all right, we've got to reconnect, we've got to resume. So again, guys, we got this 5v5 engage kind of about to happen here. Both teams do have some level 1 team fight potential. They're both playing this very cautiously, but Tame My Wild, he's going to go straight in. He is going to use Cogs. He'll get connected by the Marana arrow from long distance. I think Tame My Wild going to be in big trouble here. But no, Miguel going to get shackled. Oh no, Clockwork and Weaver going to fall simultaneously. First Blood is going to come out for Fada on that puck. Now the fucking Mag going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Down he goes. And it looks like our dire side going to come out the victors here. 2-for-1 exchange, and Poseidon going to walk away 2 kills richer. Fada could be in a little bit of trouble here. He does have an illusory orb, so if things get sticky, I'm sure he'll be able to scoot his way out. But wow, a little bit of chaos erupting right there. Marana arrow, oh, going to be off the mark, almost connecting with Dread, but going to fall a little bit short here. Now going to go toe-to-toe with this Venomancer. Could be a little bit scary. Not enough mana for that second Gale. So, wow, chaos erupting already here, Hippie.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw, I mean, so they got the good arrow, they got the good shield off. Obviously, it's on a 12-second cooldown at level 1, so they were able to get that initial pick off, but they just stayed in too long, and the Clockwork Cogs held the Weaver in position nicely. No one else was really backing off, and the additional damage from getting 2 Soul Assumptions off from Poseidon, 2 fully charged ones, as well as just the slow from the Gale, the fact that Doom was in there with the Scorched Earth, not able to be brought down. And it's like, all the abilities I mentioned, I feel proud. All the abilities I mentioned ended up very, very critical in that initial engagement.
Yeah, the only one, Shackle Shot instead of Power Shot. Wind Ranger did pull an audible there. Went with the Shackle. But it did set up that kill, so definitely well worth it. I thought Weaver was going to be okay because he had the Aphotic Shield, but yeah, being stuck in the cogs proved to be a little bit more deadly than I had initially thought. But now that the action has died down a little bit, let's talk about these rosters. On our Radiant side, you have Team Sigma. Down in the bottom lane here, I believe that's Sachka on the Mirana, going to be hard farming under the name Paris. Maybe an official name change, not really sure. Effing Mad, going to be playing on the Abaddon, supporting that bottom lane. Pos, going to be on the Bane, also sitting down in this bottom lane for a little bit of tri-lane action. Fada, going to be on the mid, playing, or in the mid lane, playing on the puck. He, of course, did grab that bit of bonus gold, while his net worth is a hop and a skip ahead of everyone else. And, of course, we have Miguel up here in the top lane on the Weaver. And, Hippie, if you'd like the honors, you can introduce Team Poseidon here.
All right, over on the side of Poseidon, in our aggressive tri-lane down bottom, we're going to have Solo playing the Venomancer, Nexus on our Wind Ranger, Dread going to be playing the Visage. Over up in the mid lane, we got Tame My Wild on our solo mid Clockwork, and then in the top lane, KSI playing that solo safe farming Doom against Miguel's Weaver.
So, interesting lanes. Not too often we get to see the Clockwork mid up against a Puck, and based on those last hits, looks like Puck getting the better of him. He is sitting 9-3 against the 3-1 Clockwork, so Tame My Wild. Struggling a little bit here. So far, the tri-lane has been pretty quiet, even though both sides have a pretty solid amount of kill potential. Oh, fucking Mad gonna luck out a little bit right there. 2-minute rune gonna spawn. Will be an invisibility at that bottom position, so he is gonna survive the pressure coming his way. But yeah, the Venomancer Visage Windrunner tri-lane, that's pretty close to as aggressive as it gets. One Shackle Shot, one slow, and they should be able to land everything else. And well, probably going to be able to set up a kill pending on the Aphotic Shield cooldown. So, yeah, any thoughts about that mid lane, though? Clockwork versus Puck. Should it be this one-sided, or is some of that a relic of the Puck getting that first blood?
I think it's largely the first blood. It looks like actually there was an engagement in bottom lane, but Poseidon decided to back right off. But it's largely Tame My Wild is the one who got first blooded, so he was a little bit behind on experience. And you can see Fada actually went for a bottle rush build. He got a null talisman, he got pulled a couple of tangos, and he got a couple of branches. So he had, or not exactly a bottle rush, but he went for a very high damage build. And so since he essentially got a free bottle out of the first blood, he came to lane not only with more damage than Tame My Wild, who usually have really good damage on a Clockwork, and Fada's kind of mitigated that. But on top of that, he had a bottle, and now Tame My Wild has just picked his up, so he's got that early advantage, but I think it should even out, quite frankly, especially with good use of the cogs to drain that Puck mana.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. So things already going the way of Sigma, even though they didn't get the better of that exchange at the beginning. It is 2-1, of course. Sigma, the ones only grabbing that one kill, but they did get the most valuable of the kills, and they got it on one of their most valuable heroes. So I would venture to say that they almost made out better from that 1v1 exchange, because now Puck is definitely doing quite well. He's got a nice experience advantage as well. Clockwork still working towards level 5, Puck already on the mark. So as always, when Puck hits level 6 over his opponent, there's always that possibility for a quick Dream Coil kill. We've definitely seen that a time or two, something we'll have to keep an eye out for. I keep thinking this bottom lane is going to heat up with Mischief, but both sides are being surprisingly passive down here, given how aggressive they could be.
Well, I think that, at least on Poseidon's side, they're just concerned, well, it doesn't really matter who we go on, unless we get some kind of epic stun on the Abaddon, everything is just going to get removed. So, you know, unless you land a 2 or 3 hero Gale, or you shackle 2 heroes together, that Aphotic Shield is going to nerf any sort of potential you have to get a lot done. And so as long as Sigma is very careful about their positioning and doesn't line themselves up for something like that, they can very safely farm up this lane without much worry. And especially because you have the Bane Nightmare for bailout as well. And of course, Brain Sap, if you decide to go on the Bane. There's a lot of great ways for Sigma to just keep people alive. So I'm not surprised, and I actually think Poseidon is not going to do that well in this lane, just because all of their aggression, all of the pressure they want to put on is not really mattering. You see Mirana farming 18 and 5. What's Poseidon getting done down here except nerfing their own experience on 3 kind of experience critical heroes?
Yeah, I mean, Wind Ranger getting okay farm, 12 and 5, but you're right, nothing too crazy going to come out of here. I mean, Windrunner's certainly not going to be able to carry too hard given this mediocre farm, I guess is really the best way to coin it. In the mid, we did see Puck hit level 6, almost killing the level 5 Clockwork. If Tame My Wild didn't have a haster, and I think that would have gone a bit differently, but oh, down in the bottom lane, some exchanging going back and forth. Venno going to be the first to fall, a Photic Shield going to come out onto the Bane, and that'll keep him alive for now. Things starting to look a little bit rough for Poseidon in this try-on-try. The Nightmare going to come. Shackle Shot going to be used on Marana as well. The dogs like the action, and Marana, oh, going to get healed up with that Mistcoil just in time. The Photic Shield going to explode, and that's going to be a kill coming out the way onto the Visage. Windrunner going to fall as well. This couldn't be going worse for Poseidon now. All 3 of them have died. Poison going to come out onto Bane. He's going to try to port out in time. Oh, and he's going to make it. That one last auto attack going to fly long range into the base. And Sigma, all of a sudden, picking up some huge momentum down here, securing themselves a 2,000 golden experience lead. Now Marana going to be that much richer. Just going to right-click those phase boots.
So, man, if you saw what happened, so basically they saw that the Abaddon was over in the woods. They thought they could kill the Bane, but Brain Sap kept him alive long enough to get the shield on him, and they just turned it around from there. It's so hard to go on an Abaddon if he has any sort of mana, no matter what position he's in, because, I mean, especially with defensive heroes, like heroes that have some sort of good defensive spell, like Bane with his Brain Sap, and like Marana with her leap, you're almost never going to be able to burst them down in time, and Fada, ooh.
That was a really weird play. Go ahead and finish your thought, and then we can talk about that a little bit. Because
I was pretty much done.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Bane Abaddon is definitely a nasty tri-lane. I always forget about the Brain Sap from Bane, but that does add an extra level of sustainability. That kill right there was really weird. Weaver rotated to the mid. Nice cogs came out onto the high ground, which pushed the Weaver down. And I guess Tame My Wild thought he was safe, and he was sort of just sitting right here in this cute little spot, just kind of like, hey guys, I'm good, I'm safe. And Puck was like, all right, well, you've sort of boxed yourself in, hit him with a Waning Rift, hit him with an Orb, and was like, wait a second, I think I can kill him. Threw the Dream Coil, another auto attack, and Tame My Wild just died. It was kind of the strangest engage where Puck almost thought it was an illusion, it seemed, at first, and was like, oh, this is the real Clockwork. Oh, no. And Tame My Wild into the grave. Very unfortunate for Tame My Wild there. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, and with that done, I think I get that he wants to get a little tankier. He wants to get a little bit more done in this mid lane to get himself maybe another level so he has the maxed out battery assault, but I really think he wants to go and overload that tri lane. So it's a 4v3, so you're not as worried about the Abaddon, so you can maybe trap the Abaddon, kill him you know, in the cogs before anything happens. And it's just, he's not going to get a lot done in that middle lane. Puck is just going to keep over farming him. He's going to get zoned out. So go win your other lanes. If you know your lane is lost, rotate, make something happen out of it. I mean, obviously don't just rotate mindlessly, but he should be looking for those openings, and I really think he needs to pick up a TP scroll so he can go if people overcommit.
Yeah, Tame My Wild is just in a bad spot right now. I mean, looking at the last hit difference here, oh, missing a kill down bottom. My apologies about that one, folks. But look, it looks like the Wind Ranger, Wind Runner, depending on your forte, going to get picked off again down to this bottom. I think it's safe to say this tri-lane is an utter disaster here for Poseidon. They're basically left with now an off-lane Venomancer, it seems, and Solo might be in a little bit of trouble here as well. That classic Nightmare Arrow combo. Marana going to press forward, going to have enough for a star call. Wind Ranger going to come in, will connect with a Shackle, but not going to be enough to finish off the Marana. Things just continuing to get worse here for Poseidon. Nexus not going to have enough damage to finish anyone off. Meanwhile, up in the Dire Jungle, pardon me, fucking Mag going to be chasing down both Dread and Tame My Wild. Now Miguel going to join the mix, and I think Dread going to be in a little bit of pressure, a little bit of trouble here. Down he goes. A Photic Shield going to come out on the Weaver. Don't know that they're going to be able to grab themselves a second kill, but they're starting to add up. 8-2 here at the 8.5 minute mark. Sigma really starting to run away with this game. Gold lead now upwards of 3,000 and experience lead to boot. But before that bit of chaos erupted, point I wanted to make is Fada has just completely won this mid lane. 43-11 in last hits and denies. Clockwork 21-1. Yeah, doesn't get much more one-sided than that at the 9 minute mark.
Yeah, it's been brutal. I think the early death and obviously the early bottle on Fada, as I mentioned, really hurt Tame My Wild. That second death hasn't done him any services. Again, I really think he shouldn't be trying to contest this lane anymore. I get he doesn't want to give it up because there's potential experience here, and you don't want to leave potential experience and gold on the map, but I think there's more that he can get done by trying to slow down that Marana, trying to slow down that Weaver, making sure that nobody else is snowballing, because Puck is already off to a great start, and you're not going to stop him now unless your other lanes are rotating in.
Yeah, right now for the dire side, Team Poseidon, it seems Doom is their saving grace. Look at that net worth chart. He is the only one faring pretty well. He's number 2 in the net worth chart, but of the top 4, Sigma have 3. So all 3 of their lanes have done quite well. And in the top, I mean, Doom didn't deny much farm from Weaver. Weaver farming very nicely, sitting around that 3.3k mark. Miguel still starting to pressure this tower a little bit. Going to have his power treads already, and going to dive on Dread here a little bit, but perhaps just harassing. No, he's actually going to try and commit to this. Miguel doing a lot of damage. That's going to be a kill onto the Visage. Oh, that hook shot going to be just off the mark. Oh, that was so bittersweet for Tame My Wild. Of course, it was a blind hook shot. A noble effort, but now...
You should go in.
Oh, he's so overcommitted. This could be really bad. They're not going to go in for it, but Tame My Wild, maybe getting a bit hyper-aggressive. Solo going to come around the backside, perhaps looking for an opportunity, but he's at half health as well. Oh, Poseidon, it's just not going their way this game.
I guess it was definitely the more careful play, not for that Weaver to go in, but I think with the Abaddon right there, he could have gotten Tame My Wild, thanks to the Aphotic Shield damage, and gotten out just fine, even though you had Solo sitting nearby. I mean, especially, you know, Solo's Gale, it doesn't actually deal in damage, and Fada, again, picking someone off.
That was an easy kill in the mid lane. That was just a Fiend script with a DD on Puck. No way you're going to live that one, but, I mean, Dread just can't catch a break. He's less than 1,000 on net worth right now. That Visage already 0-4-2. Not where you want to be on Visage here at the 11-minute mark. Doom rotating into the Radiant jungle now, trying to make something happen. Mirana going to connect with a nice arrow. Going to leap forward. Is there enough mana for a star call here? Yeah, there it is. Fucking Mag going to do a bit of damage as well. That'll be the end of the Doom. Their saving grace now going to get picked off. Going to feed another kill to Mirana. And Paris, a.k.a. Sachka, now dominating. Fada going to grab the first Tier 1 tower kill of the match in the mid lane. 11-2 at the 11-minute mark. Just keeps getting worse. Gold lead now about 5,500.
Yeah, and I don't think we can count Poseidon out. Yes, Sigma definitely has a very good lead. Yes, at this point, they really have won all 3 lanes. So Poseidon has to play very, very carefully. What they need to use, I think, is the fact that Doom just makes so much more money than everybody else thanks to Devour. And oh, Solo getting dove back near the tier 2. Oh, the hook shot!
All right, Fada going to stand his ground here against Tame My Wild. We do see a power shot coming in as well. Tame My Wild, going to be able to survive. And Puck is going to fall. That'll be the end of his dominating streak. I thought perhaps Pos may be able to help him out, but going to get outnumbered. They were pretty deep in enemy territory right there, so that will be the 3rd kill on the board here for Poseidon. Still a pretty large feat here for them to bring this one. I shouldn't say that. A large wall for them to climb to get back into this game. But you're right. Doom is a very effective farmer, kind of on par with that Alchemist. He's got the built-in Midas with that Devour, though he didn't go for a Midas this game. So that makes me wonder about his recovery farm just a little bit. And actually, no Midases in this game. Is this 6.79? What's going on here?
I think it's secretly 6.78, and they just haven't told us. But this is one of those few games where I'm really thinking he should have gone for the Midas, because as much as they have some early fighting potential, it's just neutered by the fact that they're so far behind. There's an Abaddon in the mix who's very, very good, kind of in the early laning phase, especially if he gets a level advantage and his shield becomes that much more powerful than your nukes. It's really, really hard to aggress into that. So I would have actually liked the Doom to play a much more passive farming role this game. I think they kind of need that, but they're just not getting it at this point.
Yep. So there is a smoke in the Radiant jungler right now. Both, well, actually all 3, Dread, Nexus, and KSI, all looking to get a little bit aggressive here. Unfortunately, not going to find anyone. Sigma going to be pressuring that top Tier 1 tower. They will finish it off, and their whole team actually grouped up about the top lane. So this could be kind of a Tier 1 for Tier 2 exchange, depending on how much Poseidon want to commit to this. As, well, their opponents are knocking on their Tier 2's front door in the top lane. Tame My Wild going to be in a bit of trouble here. They've got their sights set on him. Blink forward, Dream Coil, the classic Puck combo, and Tame My Wild is going to fall. It's a level 11 Puck with a Blink Dagger here at the 13-minute mark. Scary indeed. Poseidon trying to pressure this bottom Tier 1 tower. Doom going to be used on the Abaddon. He's going to fall. Of course, that does mitigate the borrowed time, so not a bad target to use the Doom on. That will be the 4th kill on the board here for our dire side. They're going to head for the hills as they all run away. The bonus speed from that Scorched Earth. A long-range arrow going to connect with Nexus. Very nicely done. This should be a kill on the Wind Ranger. Yep, down she goes as the rest of the team catches up. There's the Fiend's Grip onto the Visage, and they are going to get some cleanup kills here. Looks like KSI may survive, and yeah, Sigma not going to dive quite that deep to try and finish him off. Mirana going to have to leap away, but she is going to bump into Solo. Paris could be in a little bit of a sticky situation here. Not going to have another leap coming up. The Gale going to connect. And I think Sachka may be slated to fall right here. The team support not going to be there in time. Oh, the hook shot going to come in to finish him off. And that will be the end of his mega kill streak. Tame My Wild going to get a nice little gold pick-me-up there. Clockwork going to walk home 600 gold richer.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought that hook may have been a bit of a waste, but then I saw the Puck on the uphill, and I'm like, all right, yeah, you want to finish him off before that Puck gets right back in. Yep. And it started off so well for Poseidon, because quite frankly, I think that Abaddon is exactly who they needed to kill. They can't kill anyone else as long as he's alive. He's already level 8. He's got the level 4 shield with the 6-second cooldown. He's got the level 3 coil, so it heals for 200. It's a strong heal at this point, especially compared to the damage output that Poseidon has, which is kind of anemic because they're low on levels. But then, because they felt like they had to disengage and they couldn't... I'm not saying they could have kept fighting that, but at the same time, the way they disengaged, where it was just kind of a full-on retreat, meant that it was very, very easy for Sigma to just kind of disable one person, go in, and that arrow on Solar, are they going to dive on him? Yeah, they have plenty of people. He's done.
Wow, that is a nice arrow. I have to say, Sachka's really been on point today. He's landed a couple of nice arrows so far in this game. It looks like being stuck in traffic hasn't held back his arrow prowess, as it appears Sigma now going to be able to take out their third Tier 1 tower of the match. That'll take the total tower count now 3-0, 16-5 here at the 15-minute mark. Gold lead actually starting to plateau a little bit, but yeah, Sigma's still hanging on to a lot of momentum here.
Absolutely, and just, you know, they've taken out all 3 of the Tier 1 towers. They haven't lost any of their Tier 1s. They have the lineup that's better in the late game. I think they honestly generally have better teamfight control too, even though, I mean, there's a lot of good control coming out from Poseidon as well, but having the Bane, having the Puck, those are 2 heroes that grant you an immense amount of control, especially the Puck in particular, and just the survivability from the Abaddon, which has showed itself all game long. I'm really, really struggling to come up with options for what Poseidon can do, and another death on that Visage. You mentioned he's been doing very poorly so far. Very unfortunate game for Dread.
Port's going to come in. Tame My Wild is going to connect with a hook shot, but the Moonlight Shadow is going to come out, and Sachka might actually be able to survive. No, unfortunately, you can't walk out of the cogs. They still zap you. So Mirana is going to fall, going to make it at least a 1-for-1. KSI in the top lane, though, going to get pinched right here. He's going to move into the trees and try and port out, and he is going to make it. Oh, just barely right there. So, yeah, Venomancer are going to get picked off in the bottom. Multi-kills happening here across the way. Sorry, I missed a couple of them. But, uh-oh, Fada going to grab himself a Dagon on that Puck. I think this is one of those games where it's warranted. As we mentioned, Dagon on Puck tends to be an item build where a team is already so far ahead, they just want to get further ahead, and I think it's safe to say that this is a match that fits that description. So, a pretty reasonable pick there from Fada, and now about a 10,000 gold lead here at the 16.5-minute mark.
Yeah, it's definitely very nice for kind of extending the lifespan of your snowball on Puck, because it ups your combo from about 600 damage to about 1,000 damage just for that level 1 Dagon. And that's pretty significant when you're playing against an underfarmed team. An 800 health Visage, I mean, the Venomancer just barely has 1,000 life. The Windrunner has 900. There are a lot of easy pickoffs that can come. Even the Clockwork only has about 1,100. So, I mean, even after reduction, that means the Clockwork would be down to about 500 life maybe just from the Puck combo. That's brutal.
Whoa, that arrow just barely clipping Nexus from long range. Nowhere to juke, and that's going to be one easy kill. Now the Visage going to be in a little bit of trouble as well. The Fiend Script going to be burned. Now he's going to fall. That's going to be a 2-for-0 to start things off. Doom is going to get thrown out onto the Weaver. A great target of choice. That is one great thing from KSI so far. He's been doing a good job with that Doom. But now Veno going to get picked off. Miguel still alive, just trying to kite. He is going to get denied by Abaddon, so this fight just not going the way of Poseidon. Clockwork going to make it back to the base with a few hit points to spare. KSI going to try to port out, and there's the Nightmare. They are going to be able to interrupt it. Are they going to have the damage to finish him off? Indeed they shall. Clockwork did pick off the Mirana somewhere in the Stray while I was checking out that kill. But, yeah, still not going very well for Poseidon. 22-8 here. What was that, a 2-for-4 exchange, I think?
Something along those lines. And honestly, I don't even think the Weaver needed to get denied. The shield was off cooldown. I think he was just concerned. I think Bucking Mad was concerned that the cast time for the shield would be a little too much for him to get it off in time. Yeah. But I think he would have swung it, but I guess better safe than sorry. You're already so far ahead that getting a deny on your Weaver doesn't really cost you all that much, and it's certainly better than giving that Weaver's gold over to the Doom and trying to give him just a little bit more of a chance to get back into this game.
Yep. So things going to settle down for the moment. The gold lead continuing to grow for Sigma now, just about 12,000 or so. Looking at other item pickups here, Weaver going to be close to his Lincolns before too long. Bane has picked up a Gem of True Sight as well, so a little bit of map control now going to flow the way of Sigma Gaming. On the dire side, looks like Doom just working towards the Shadow Blade. Does have that Shadow Amulet already, about 500 gold in the bank, so not too far off the mark, another 1,000 to farm or so. I still wish he had picked up a Midas. I think I agree with your bit of analysis earlier on that a Midas would have done well for Doom here in this match, just because they have a lineup that kind of favors that bit of static farming. They're not going to be able to be too aggressive against the Abaddon and Bane, as we already talked about, and just sort of bottlenecking his farm a little bit. Looking at the net worth chart, Doom is leading the way for the Dire side, but he's still number 4 on the chart. And yeah, Puck and Weaver both just really overtaking him in farm. If he had a Midas, I'd say he might be able to make some of that recovery farm and become that scary kind of snowball position 1 Doom that teams fear. But here, I think he's going to be hard-pressed. Once he grabs that Shadow Blade, yeah, he's going to get some more utility, but what's the next step? Start working on the Assault Cuirass, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get what he was thinking when he initially made the item build choice, and oh, he might be in trouble right here. Fada gonna get the silence off. Oh, the Fiend script. He's just done. Too much damage. But just, I get what he was thinking. You have a Mirana and a Weaver on the other side, and whereas you're kind of the only carry over on Poseidon, so you need to have some ability to be durable, you need to have some ability to not get ganked, and you're not really going to outcarry a Weaver unless you really start to snowball. So you want to kind of have that early fighting ability so that you can land those kills. So that you can, Tame My Wild again.
Yeah, Tame My Wild in trouble. That arrow was so close to finishing him off. It's ridiculous. Like, it was half a pixel, but Puck is going to fall here in the mix. Visage actually going to be the one to grab that kill, but it's not going to come for free. It's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange so far, and it's not over yet. The sleep going to be used, going to be used on the Wind Ranger, short range arrow. Going to be a 3-for-1. They'll gladly trade that Puck in exchange for Visage, Windrunner, and the Clockwork right there. The other comment I wanted to make about the Poseidon team here is they don't have a mech, and part of the problem is Windrunner's the one trying to farm it up. She's got the recipe, she's got the headdress, and pretty damn close to finishing it, but I think Doom probably would have been a better carrier for that mech instead of going for the Drums of Endurance, just so they could get the mech on the field, have a little bit of team fight presence, have an ability to defend these towers, but the lack of mech right now is definitely hurting him. There is not one on the side of Sigma either, so that would definitely give a small edge to the Dire side if they were able to you know, grab that mechanism in a timely fashion.
I feel like when Doom is your only carry, you almost can't afford to be going a 2,700 gold mech. It's nice to have, but he needs to have some level of physical damage output, and you can see they're already getting out-damaged pretty heavily. If he had gone straight mech instead of going for the drum, instead of going, you know, towards the Shadow Blade, he would have nothing. He would be a walking ultimate, and as soon as it was gone, you're done. He's not useful anymore in the fight. So I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, he's going to be in trouble. Yeah, I think you're right. It may have bought them some time in the early game, but once Doom has to transition into the mid and late game as that position 1 carry, the mech would start to hold him back. So fair enough. I think maybe we were both right a little bit. Let's put it that way. A mech would be good right now.
I'll give it to you.
I'll give it to you. All right,
certainly could use a mech. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Yeah, that is going to be a problem here. We see that a gem starting to come in handy a little bit. Some wards getting taken out. And, a double damage rune going to be picked up on that Puck. They're going to hop forward. They're going to find KSI. Dream Coil going to be burned. The Dagon going to come out straight away. And KSI going to be hard-pressed to survive this one. He is going to blow the Doom on the Puck. And, oh, no, maybe a bit of a misplay there from Fada. Is he going to let him get away? Clockwork going to be in a little bit of trouble as well. He is going to try and pour it out. I think Tame My Wild going to survive. And somehow, Doom going to survive as well. Fada got himself stuck in sort of an odd position. I guess he thought that one last auto attack would be enough, but not quite. Now Solo, he's going to get left behind. The Bug's going to come out, and yeah, nowhere to go. Going to turn for that Kamikaze Poison Nova, but won't be enough to secure a kill.
That was such a good Gale. He got 4 people in it, but the problem was they had the Weaver and they had the Abaddon. So you had the Mirana who had the Aphotic Shield to remove the slow, and the Weaver is just Chikuchiing after you. Take away those 2 heroes, replace them with almost anyone else, and he gets out of that clean because of an amazing Gale. Just he waited until they were all lined up in that narrow little passage. Ugh, it was so good. I loved watching it, and I feel really bad that he died afterwards.
Yeah. So, Roshan going to fall to the Radiant side here. Sigma going to take a very easy Rosh, completely uncontested. I don't think Poseidon could have contested if they wanted to. And the Aegis of the Immortal is going to end up in the inventory of Mirana. That's who it was. I should have just checked the log. And he's also going to have a Desolator, too, to follow up with that Drum of Endurance bottle and Phase Boots that he's already picked. So, great news for that Mirana. Definitely transitioning into the hard carry. I think a Desolator very warranted here. And, Fada's stuck in the trees. Silly snake.
He's also got Dagon 4. He doesn't even care. He's just going all in on the Dagon. And I mean, as funny as it is, it is kind of I don't know, man. I'm of the school that Dagon Beyond 1 is not particularly legit on any hero but Tinker, and even then it's the last thing you should go in for.
Yeah.
But as long as it works for him in the game, I'm not going to say it's necessarily bad. It certainly makes his combo absolutely fearsome. He's up to almost 1,300 damage off of just, you know, a pair of nukes and his Dagon. So it can definitely get really, really brutal when he when he throws his damage down, and oh, he wants to go in on KSI.
Yep, they're looking for it. That's the orb forward, Dream Coil. KSI going to choose to just take the stun. Unfortunately, the arrow going to be off the mark, but there's a Fiend Script to follow it up. That'll be the end of Doom to start off this fight. Familiar's going to come in. They did actually interrupt the Fiend Script before it got finished, but didn't matter. Bought him enough time. The right clicks were enough to finish off the Doom, so it's going to be a 1-for-0 exchange here. Sigma in kind of an odd position. The Tier 2 tower in the mid lane is still up, so right now they're fighting between the Tier 2 and the Tier 3, sort of showing us how boxed in Poseidon truly are. Can't even leave their base despite still having some Tier 2 towers alive, though notably not for long. Once this next creep wave gets here, I think this tower will be destined to fall. Whoops, sorry about that. Zooming in by mistake, and yeah, Desolator going to make it even easier to knock these towers down. So Sigma holding on to their lead here, I think soon to be victorious. At this point, it is absolutely in their hands to throw, and we'll see what Poseidon do, but they don't have too many options here besides turtling in the base and hoping that Sigma overcommit. Tame My Wild possibly in a little bit of a sticky situation here. He is going to walk near the Dire Secret Shop, going to blow the cogs, and that's going to buy him a little bit of time, but not going to save him from the level 5 Dagon. Now in the inventory of Puck. Whoa, that's going to be a hookshot forward. Puck going to get obliterated. The Doom comes out. He's not going to have anywhere to go. Moonlight Shadow going to be used as well. They may try and turn this around. They're going to go up to the high ground. Clockwork going to get dropped as soon as the fight starts. Weaver in the front lines doing a lot of damage. Doom going to fall as well. And now Poseidon up against the ropes. Venomancer going to try to head for the hills. He's going to be taking a hell of a lot of damage as well. He did get the Poison Nova off, but still going to fall nonetheless. Nexus and Dread, the only two left alive. Tame My Wild bought back, but he's not going to bring much to the table. Doesn't have the hook shot up. Nexus going to be in big trouble here. He does have the mech. That's going to pick him up a little bit. And look at this aggression from Sigma. They're so deep in the base right now. Miguel going to fall. He overcommitted a bit. Fucking mad. One of the only ones left alive as he had that ultimate to bring him back. Sachka going to come in, but he's just going to hop out, and I think that will be the end of this exchange. Sigma conceding a couple of unnecessary deaths, but oh, that arrow! Going to connect with Dread, and I think Dread is destined to fall right here. Marana back in the mix. Well, Clockwork going to fall. He will sacrifice himself to keep his buddy Visage alive. It just keeps getting worse for our Dire team here, Hippie.
Yeah, and if you watched like Marana and Weaver throughout most of that fight, you could see they were constantly playing with like 20 to 30% health, maybe Weaver like 40 to 50%. And anytime they drop lower, Mist Coil, Aphotic Shield, Mist Coil, Aphotic Shield, constantly. The power of that Abaddon in this early game phase is just, I've been harping on it all game, but that's because if you really, really watch these team fights, you can just see how much healing output he's getting and see how difficult it is for Poseidon to get any kills. If you take away that Abaddon and replace him with some sort of stunning hero, some sort of slowing hero, maybe even just someone with damage output instead of the healing, the fragile lineup of Sigma would crumble to some of this damage output. But because of the Abaddon, they're able to stand and fight, they're able to put out their damage, they're able to go in for very aggressive item builds. Marana, I mean, Drum, Desolator, Yasha, not a lot of hit points there. Phase Boots as well. Yep. The Weaver is defensive, he went the Lincolns, but at the same time, he's still able to just dive really, really far, make sure the Geminid attack keeps proccing, make sure the Shikuchi damage keeps hitting everyone, because he doesn't fear death with that Abaddon backing him up.
Yeah, exactly right. And on the notion of this Abaddon, he's gone with an interesting item choice. He went Arcane Boots into the Medallion of Courage, and then, yeah, the Rod of Aoi, a.k.a. Rod of Atos. Not an item that gets a lot of love in the competitive scene, but pretty well slated for the Abaddon. I mean, it gives him intelligence, which he needs, gives him a little bit of health as well, and that Cripple Slow is actually pretty powerful. So I like the choice here from fucking Mag. Get himself a little bit of survivability as well. 1,500 hit points on that tanky Death Knight. Sorry, Blizzard, but he is a Death Knight.
Yeah, man, he was Arthas once, man. That was his model.
He was the Death Knight.
He was the Lord of Death Knights. But I mean, the Rod of Atos for me, it's something you get if you want a good intelligence item and you don't need a solid disable, because of course it's like 2,000 gold cheaper than the Hex, but the Hex is just inherently better in pretty much every way if you can farm it. But if you want something now, and if you're not worried about, oh, I need this Hex or we can't win team fights, like there's one person who absolutely needs to be disabled, it's a great item. And especially when you're playing so aggressive, people are trying to run away from you so much. If anyone's caught out of position, the range on that Atos slow is huge. And a 4-second 60% slow is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. Absolutely right about that. Now Marana going to move into a Sanjin Yasha, not going to go Manta as what I consider sort of a traditional Marana build. Going to go for a little bit more survivability, get a bit of extra strength there on that Sanj. I think that makes sense here. I think we're both on the same page. Not big fans of Sanjin Yasha, but I don't mind it here so much. Although, now here's another bit of trivia for you. Sanjin Yasha and Desolator in the same inventory. Got some conflicting orbs here. Are these orbs that stack, or is this another one of those that LD was talking about with an orb and then an attack? buff.
When the Sange procs,
You don't
other
get
orb effects
Desolator.
won't proc.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
unless that's been
Okay.
changed like in Dota 2.
gotcha.
That's how it functioned.
They
in Dota
can't
1.
proc at the same time, but they can proc kind of
Yeah.
in tandem. And because Desolator is a debuff, you just have to get Desolator on him once, and it's already done its job. So I see how they stack, but they don't. Another one of those crazy Dota mechanics that's sort of like, yeah, it does, but it doesn't. There's no easy answer in Dota. It's always one of those, well, it sort of stacks, but not in the same attack. So, you know, Dota mechanics, what are you going to do? But things...
Yeah, it's like, you know, Geminate attack does that too. Geminate attack overrides orbs on the Geminate. But interestingly enough, it works with Chilling Touch as far as I can tell. So it doesn't override that, which is pretty darn powerful, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So things just sort of going into a bit of a stalemate here for the moment. Tame My Wild going to take a bit of damage. Arrow going to fly over the cogs. Going to connect with the Visage, though, instead. Mirana just going to start taking out these Plague Wards here from the Veno. I don't know. I mean, what can Poseidon do here? They're so boxed into their base. The gold graph just continuing to go in the favor of their opponents, now upwards of about 25,000. Doom was just farming away in the Radiant jungle, going to be forced to port back. He's only level 12, so not only is the gold an issue now, but experience. I mean, look at the hero levels. Just a huge disparity in favor of Sigma, I think, needless to say here. They've got 3 level 3 ultis, not a single level 3 ultimate there on our dire side of Team Poseidon. Doom is actually only level 12, so he's fairly underleveled given he is playing that one position.
Well, yeah, and I think against a tri-core lineup, when you're playing a single-core Doom lineup, there's not a lot you are going to do at this point. I mean, as much as I don't like to be defeatist about it, I think they really are out of it. You have the farmed Mirana, the farmed Weaver, and the farmed Puck. Your main method of getting a hero out of a team fight is to Doom them. So that's 3 heroes that are all viable Doom targets, and Clockwork going to die again.
Jeez.
So much damage coming out of Fada. He's got that Dagon 5 now, which is just... Yeah. Again, I don't think it's the best option, but it's certainly a funny one right now.
Yeah. It is a destroyer of underfarmed heroes.
Indeed.
But it looks like they are going to try to do a bit of split pushing. I mean, I think Sigma's powerful enough now that they could kind of just push up all together in one lane and kind of steamroll their way into a successful team fight, assuming their positioning isn't absolutely atrocious. But doing some split pushing could certainly work as well. Miguel going to engage on KSI right here, but he's going to have some backup. The Shackle going to go. It is going to connect on some trees. Oh, kind of, well, an okay angle, I guess. Maybe not the worst, but now Dread is going to get left behind. They ventured maybe a bit too far out of the base. Doom going to fall in one of the other sections of this engage, another one of these multi-pronged attacks, as Sachka going to hop into the base. He's going to finish off the Visage, and yeah, that's going to be a 2-for-0 exchange. Kind of a 3-for-0 if you count the Clockwork in this engage, and I think we got to be close to a GG here at this point, Hippie.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, it's pretty much over. There's 3 cores that they want to Doom, and then there's also 2 great supports, both of whom could benefit from a Doom. And you only have 1 Doom, and what else are you going to do to stop these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to see him dive the base. The steamroll is coming out. I think a buyback was used by Doom. Yep, he's going to be stuck dead here for the next 60 seconds. Did manage to get Doom off onto the Weaver, but too little too late. GG well played's come out here at 32 minutes of gameplay, 38-11. Unfortunately here, Hippie, the debut of Poseidon not going to go the way that they would have preferred. And, well, they're going to take a defeat here. But Sigma still looking good. They're hot off of their run at MLG Columbus. They did place top 4, so not surprised to see them in good form. This is their TI4 roster. They're committed to it. And, well, glad to see that they're still performing well for sure.
Absolutely. I think just as a wrap-up, I think you can basically trace all of Poseidon's failings back to a bad choice of laning. Because as much as they really wanted to get some stuff done with that aggressive tri-lane, they just couldn't against the Abaddon. It was too strong. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we do have one more game coming up here today, guys, and we're going to get into it pretty quickly. I believe it was slated to start about 10 minutes ago, and, yep, Mouse Sports versus Super Strong Dinosaurs is going to be our 4th and final match today. Thanks for joining us here on Beyond the Summit. I'm Zayori. With me is Hippie. We'll be back for one more game.